If you're watching this video, chances are you've had, have, or are having issues with your credit report. Recently, when I purchased an investment property, the lender I was using, whom I've worked with many times in the past without issues, this time around they had an issue with my credit report, which prevented me from obtaining the finance I needed. There was a misspelling of my surname on my Equifax report, meaning the lender would not approve my finance without the credit report being amended to reflect the correct spelling of my name as per my government issued IDs. Given I'd already paid a substantial deposit and settlement was only 60 days away, this relatively small issue, one incorrect letter on my credit report, had the potential to cost me tens of thousands of dollars if I were to lose that deposit. My first option was to engage a credit repair company. Now this can be a costly process. If you are watching this video, it's likely you've already researched some of these companies. Now they can achieve results, but there's no guarantees either of a result when you use a credit repair company. The second option was to try and amend the report myself, which is what I ultimately ended up doing. Now, the only thing it cost me was the time online to lodge the dispute, and of course the 30 days I had to wait for a response from Equifax. This is a step-by-step guide for how I went about amending my own report. Bear in mind, it's just a guide, no guarantee of a positive result, even if you follow the exact same steps, as the decision is ultimately up to Equifax whether or not they decide to amend your report.
Okay, welcome to the step-by-step guide of the video. So we have the link in the description of the video for where you can get to this section in the Equifax website. So here we are, the welcome page. So you need to read through your basic T's and C's here once you've had a look at these. I understand. And you can click through when you're comfortable. So in this case, we're looking at an individual credit report. Because we're just looking at a correction of an individual name for myself, I went with that, but you've also got the option if you're a company business to also click on that as well. Next, we have individual directly. So that's being done by myself. So I'm an individual, but I did find this next part quite interesting in the third-party assistance. This would be where your credit repair companies would click. So I found it interesting that even your credit repair companies are likely going to be using the same pages that we're using today. Thought that one was kind of interesting. Click through to your next page. Okay, now here are your T's and C's. Very important you read through these as well. Now, when and if you're comfortable, yes, I agree to these terms. Next up, it's asking if you have a copy of your credit report. I highly recommend that if you are looking at contesting your credit report, you have a copy because you need to see what's on the report and what's wrong and what's potentially stopping you from achieving your goals. So personally, I'd recommend having that credit report, which I did have as well, so I could see physically what was on that report and what was actually holding me back. So once we've gone through that, continue to the next page. Now also here, given mine was to do with a name correction, it's very, very important that you have everything correct as per your birth certificate or your passport. For example, I'll typically use my passport because that's a government issued ID that I'll usually have lying around somewhere handy. That said, it is important regardless if it's a name correction or anything else. You do need this information to be as correct as possible, as per your government issued IDs. So I'm just going to fill this in with some placeholder before we move on to the next page. Okay, so I've just put in some information here, not mine, just some placeholder text just to get us through to the next page. But as I said before, make sure it's as accurate as possible. Oh, pop it in as mail. Okay, this next page on personal information equally is important. If you're going to be putting in employment history or information, make sure it's as accurate as possible. Equifax may have some of that information on file. Also, your residential addresses, make sure they're correct. And then obviously your email address, because that's where they'll be sending all their correspondence to, and your phone numbers as well. So as before, I'm just going to pop in some placeholder before we move to the next page. Okay, once you've accurately filled in this information, you can click through to the next section. Okay, once you're through to the correction request section, have a look here. Now, in the case of correcting my name, which I was doing, it was just a consumer credit data that we're looking at amending. There's also the option for commercial credit data as well. This drop down was quite interesting. I found that, yes, in this case, we're looking at identity information, but there's also other things you can contest on your report, such as inquiries, defaults, account information, repayment history, courts, default judgments, hardship information, bankruptcy corrections, default correction due to bankruptcy, directorship and proprietorship. So quite a lot there. Potentially, if you had other issues, you could contest them on this portal as well, which I found quite interesting. But in this case, we're just going to go identity information. The following one is about if credit data breaches, I believe. So that could be if you've been notified by, say, a utilities company that there's been a breach of their data and your information might be online somewhere. That's not the case in mine, so I'm going to click no and continue. Okay, now we're up to the correction request. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So the information that requires correction. So in my case, was a last name, but I did put in full name. I think you could potentially get away with either in that case. Now, is there a reason I'm disputing it? In this case, spelling is incorrect. Okay, but you can see there's other options there as well. If you believe something is fraudulent, for example, you could click on any of these options or that fraudulent one. Now, this part is super important. Now, please provide correct details. So you want to be able to provide the correct details on your birth certificate, for example, in my case. So when you're writing these sort of requests, it's not uncommon for people to be quite stressed, under a lot of pressure. They might be contacting Equifax last minute and they need something done quite quickly. In my case as well, I had a 60-day time frame. Otherwise, I could have potentially lost my deposit. So understandably pretty stressed. And if you've got no idea why this has happened to you, you can get quite emotional. So it's important when you're providing the description that you keep it professional, polite, and on target. Okay, you can let them know that you're on a tight time frame, but most requests they get will have that similar stress in them. So polite, professional, to the point. So in this case, I'll just put together something similar to what I put down in mine. Look, it's not how you must do it, or it's just a rough guide. Okay, so put in your own information and your own story as well, but we'll put together just a little idea of what might help. Okay, so I managed to find what I actually put in my initial dispute. So my full name is recorded as Corey Simcotter on my Equifax report. So I was able to know this from having a copy of my report, so I was able to state in this what the incorrect spelling was on the report that I had, and it's affecting my ability to complete formal approval on my property loan. I require this to be amended immediately. So I also put some stress in there as well, but factual stress that I need this to get formal approval and I require it immediately. My correct name is Corey George Simcotter. I have my current passport and driver's license to support this information. So professional, polite, and to the point. So here's the issue. Okay, that's as it appears on my report. This is what it's holding me back from doing. So it is quite important. There's a loan and I need this to be amended. And then of course, confirming the correct spelling. And then I've uploaded documents to support this information as well. So professional, polite, and to the point. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, so in this section, as I said before, just reconfirming what we put in the previous section. So confirming the misspelling as it appears on your report, the incorrect spelling there. So just one moment, we'll pop that in. So after I completed this initial request for this, I did realize, as I mentioned earlier, that you could just click on incorrect spelling of last name. I did the full name, so this is why I have to input my first, middle, and last name. As I knew it was just my last name, I could have gotten away with just amending the surname, but we've come this far. So we'll pop in the names as they appear on the credit report. First and middle name were correct, last name incorrect. Pop it in as it was incorrectly placed on your report. Okay, so correct details. My placeholder name from before, John James Smith. Okay, so that wasn't mine, so I'll just pop it in as my name should appear, which is public information anyway, so. Okay, so Corey George Cincotta, for example. Okay, with the correct spelling. Okay, in this section, we're just going to have a look at the email chain that I received over the process with Equifax. So this is the confirmation email initially. So as you can see, I lodged on the 6th of August. Just has all your confirmation, your ticket number. Important that you hold on to this email and leave this information somewhere safe. Also, as you can see, important piece of information, please allow up to 30 days from the date you contacted us for the investigation to be completed and an outcome to be advised. Now, an outcome can mean positive, can be negative, can mean they require more information. So if it is a positive result, 30 days, negative as well, potentially they might ask more information, but what they're saying here is 30 days at least for a response, no matter what the outcome. Also a link here, so web address where you can log in and track your ticket number as well, which is quite useful. This was the first confirmation email from Equifax. Next we move along to the second email I got, so on the 31st of August, an extension of correction request. So Equifax have advised that they'll need more time to complete that request. Will be unable to resolve your correction within 30 days. Okay, redirection of your correction, delaying, whatever the reason is, or high volume of current correction requests. So we expect the matter to be resolved within the next 21 days. When you're on a tight time frame, that can be pretty stressful, but at least they've communicated that information, I guess. Okay, so this is the second email I got in my chain, but I was quite relieved with the third email, which came through on the 4th of September. So from the 6th of August for the first email, 4th of September on the resolution. That was 4 weeks and 1 day by my calculation, so it was within a reasonable time frame for myself. But as we can see, resolution email. Okay, so what they'll do is they'll send through a password protected PDF where they'll have your result. Okay, so scroll down, so it was a resolution letter and a PDF. In my case, I was successful, so I was very, very happy with that. They basically indicate what the misspelling was and how it's been corrected. Since then, I contacted the lender that I was having issues with, or the lender that was having issues with my report. They've generated a new report from Equifax and it shows my name to be amended, and they're happy with that. So hopefully if you're going through a similar issue, if you follow these steps and they've worked for yourself, please leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. More than happy to help. If there's any other issues, finance related or mortgage related in Australia, please feel free to leave a note in the comments. I'm happy to get some more ideas of how we can help people on their journey to purchasing property and obtaining the finance that they want. But I hope this video was useful, and we'll hopefully be seeing you again in future videos. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any comments are appreciated in the comments section. If you want any more information, feel free to reach out.